All right, let's talk about a new technology that could completely change the game for artificial intelligence. It's called Genie 3, and the idea behind it is pretty wild. What if you could teach an AI about our world by letting it imagine its own?
So here's the big problem AI developers have always faced. The real world is, well, it's messy. It's totally unpredictable, and sometimes it can even be dangerous. Trying to train something like a robot through trial and error in the real world, it's just incredibly slow, super expensive, and honestly pretty risky. So the question is, how do you give an AI a whole lifetime of experience without it actually taking a lifetime?
And this is where it gets really interesting. The team behind this new tech is making a really bold claim. They believe what they've built is a critical stepping stone toward the ultimate prize in AI, something called AGI, or Artificial General Intelligence. Now, just to be super clear, AGI is not like the AI we have today, the kind that's really good at one specific thing. We're talking about an AI that has the same kind of flexible, adaptable intelligence that we do, one that can reason, solve problems it's never seen before, and learn just about anything. It's pretty much the holy grail of AI research. So how in the world do we get from here to there? Well, a lot of researchers think we need a very specific kind of technology. And according to this research, the secret ingredient is something called a world model. This is where that whole idea of an AI's imagination really starts to click.
Okay, so what is a world model? The best way to think about it is like an AI's own internal physics engine, or maybe even its own imagination. It's a system that doesn't just look at data about the world. It actually builds this deep, almost intuitive understanding of how things work so it can simulate the world all on its own.
It all works in this really cool three-step loop. First, the AI looks at an environment and figures out what's going on. Then, it runs its own internal simulation of how that place might change over time. But the last step, that's the crucial part. It predicts what will happen if an agent, like a robot, actually does something in that simulation. This is exactly how it learns cause and effect. And this really highlights a massive shift in how we train AI. See, traditional AI usually learns from these huge but static data sets. It's like it's reading a giant library of things that have already happened. This new way is completely different. It lets an AI learn by doing, by actively experimenting in a safe reality that it creates for itself, a reality it can repeat over and over again. And that brings us to the breakthrough that's making all of this possible on a scale we've never seen before. The huge leap forward here is a model called Genie 3. The researchers behind Genie 3 are very clear about this. This is not just some small, incremental update. No way. They're presenting it as a massive jump in the power and realism of these world models. It's what takes this from a cool theory into a tool you can actually use to train powerful AI. So, what does a major leap really mean in the real world? Well, it all comes down to the unbelievable scale and variety of the environments that the AI can now learn from. I absolutely love this quote from this source because it just perfectly captures the scale of this. We're not talking about a few pre-made levels like in a video game. We are talking about the ability to generate and explore an unlimited range of realistic environments. The training ground for these AIs just became literally infinite. So, inside these infinite virtual sandboxes, AI agents can practice and master skills that are just incredibly hard to teach any other way. We're talking about developing advanced reasoning, figuring out creative solutions to tricky problems, and learning which actions actually work, all without the risk of breaking a single thing in the real world. Okay, so let's tie this all together. What does this all mean? We have this incredibly powerful new tool, but what are the big picture implications here? Well, it all comes back to that initial goal of AGI and its most immediate application, robotics. This is the main takeaway. This idea, the ability to learn from endless trial and error in simulated worlds, is seen as a fundamental building block for AGI. It's how an AI can build that broad, generalized understanding of physics and causality, the kind of stuff that true intelligence really needs. And this has huge implications for practical fields, for sure. These insights actually come from the Google robotics team, and they see this as the path forward for creating much, much more capable robots. Just imagine a robot that has already tried a complex task a million times in a simulation before it even touches a real object. That's the kind of future this technology opens up. So that leaves us with one final, pretty powerful question to chew on. For centuries, we humans have learned from our imagination, right? By thinking through possibilities before we act.
So, if we give AI the power to learn from infinite imagined worlds, what will it ultimately be capable of doing here in our real one?